Very good morning to all of you. It is my pleasure to welcome all of you on behalf of WRI India to the launch event of the Energy Access Explorer platform for the state of Mizoram. I am Nehemiah Infimate from the WRI India Energy team, and I will be taking you through the agenda for the day. I would like to inform today's events will be a recorded events and the video will be uploaded to our websites and social media. I would kindly request everyone to put your phone in silent mode during this event. Now, I request our honorable guest, who Dr. Casey Lalmal Somzawa, advisor to CM, P. Chintan Moy Guite, Joint Secretary, Pu R. Lalfamkima, Scientist Mirsek, Pu Tantwanga, Assistant Engineer, Jeddah, kindly come forward on the stage so that my colleagues Deepak, Sikha, Akansa from WRI to come forward and facilitate them. Thank you so much. Now I invite Mr. Deepak Sri Ram Krishnan to deliver the welcome address and give a brief descriptions on the EAE platform. Deepak is a Deputy Director of the Energy Program at WRI, a program which seeks to inform and catalyze India's transition to clean energy through increased use of renewable energies and energy access.
Thank you, Nehemiah. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for taking time out to be here and hosting us in your beautiful city of Aizawl. My name is Deepak, and on behalf of WRI India, I'm very happy to, welcome you all to this launch of the Energy Access Explorer for Mizoram. Just to set a bit of a context, as power sector reports go, Mizoram, I was going through the Central Electricity Authority reports, which stated that around 56% of Mizoram's contracted electricity comes from hydro, and also 8%, which is quite an impressive number coming from solar. I was also reading today about some last 1 or 2 weeks where hydro and solar have contributed a lot to the state's generating mix, and in fact the generation has outpaced the demand. So that is actually a good sign, and the more we can do this with clean energy sources, it will be better. But the report also says that with projected growth of about 7 to 8% in the upcoming years till 2031-32, the contracted demand and power supply agreements also need to keep pace with that growth. So that is one part of the story. Now, on the developmental goals side, we have also seen that Mizoram has committed to achieving the SDG goals by 2030. And there is a very ambitious set of targets that have been adopted in the SDG vision. Also, to add that the state is also already performing significantly higher than the average figures, as far as the rest of the country is concerned. But given the ambition and the need to close this gap, it is going to be very important to keep trying harder with a lot of database planning to ensure that we plug these gaps. And as we all know, going from the last leg of improvement, that is from 80 to 100, is always the most difficult than from say 30 to 50 or 40 to 70. So that's where the state is at a very good stage, but looking at a platform for leapfrogging the a gap and reaching that 100% targets that have been set. At the same time, we also have observed that a significant number of developmental targets are also linked to energy. Within the SDG itself, if you see, there are 125 out of 169 indicators which have a direct link to energy. So this also means that we can start looking at development through different lenses. So say, for instance, instead of saying that, I will only electrify this hospital or a primary healthcare center, and say that it is also a customer that has been electrified, let's start thinking about how many vials of vaccine I was able to refrigerate and use at a time of a pandemic, for instance. How many nighttime emergency surgeries we were able to perform because now there is electricity through solar and batteries that have come in. So with this kind of paradigm shift that is possible, we can also rethink development and start planning and working towards that. Now, data gaps are always a key challenge. Much as we try, there is always going to be some gap, and using different tools and techniques to bridge those gaps is a very important initiative. And the Energy Access Explorer, which my colleagues will talk a little more in detail today, is one such initiative. It helps in visualizing the gaps. So you're not dealing with abstract numbers, and you actually have a visual representation of where those health centers are, what is the extent of gap, what are the other related infrastructural challenges. So that's something you can visualize. Over time, as you build the database and add data, you can also track the changes that happen in that, say, over 2 years, 100 centers were electrified. Next 2 years, 200 were electrified. Was there a drop at some point of time? Those are also some aspects you can look at. This will also be a repository for statistical and other reporting that are key features of our work. Much as we may find it a drudgery, we'll definitely need to report at some point of time. So this forms a repository for those activities. And last but not the least, it is also an analytical platform. So you can vary some of the data maps and see what happens if such and such a scenario is juxtaposed on this existing scenario, and see what happens over there. And also, this is not just restricted to development. Though I initially started my talk by bringing in the developmental angle, we have also seen with the introduction of the new electric vehicle policy, the number of two-wheelers having increased in Izawal. And one other thing which this platform could also look at is, for instance, locating charging stations. That can also form part of a data layer. And if that information is also made available to the public, who knows? People may take up more electric vehicles and help clean the atmosphere within this beautiful city. Last but not the least, I want to also inform the august audience that this is not the first attempt. There is a rich body of work that also comes in through experiences in other geographies and states. For example, districts or subnational entities in Kenya, Tanzania, then Assam and Jharkhand in India have also used this platform, and I think my colleagues will also be taking you through some of the use cases that they have planned. So yeah, once again, I would like to welcome you to this event. Thank you for taking the time to join us, and looking forward to the discussions today. Thank you.
Thank you, Deepak, for laying down the context of the sessions and providing a great introduction of the EAE platform. Now I request Pu R. Lalfam Kima scientist Mirsek to please come forward and speak a few words on importance of geospatial data and planning for the development of Mizoram.
Good morning, everyone, and our respected Honorable CM Advisor. I think I have around 10 minutes, but to speak about geospatial importance of geospatial data and planning. I think we can go for the whole day, but anyhow, we'll try to go as brief as we can. Geospatial data. What is geospatial data? So we can say it's a kind of location-based data. Any feature, stores latitude and longitude data. Suppose, we can think of Google Map. Nowadays, everyone uses Google Map. So those type of data, it can be referred to as geospatial data. So coming to the point, geospatial data planning for Mizoram. The first thing that comes to our mind is disaster management. This is the most relevant field in geospatial technique in context to Mizoram. We have landslide every year all over Mizoram. So even in our office, Mirsak, we have prepared landslide map, cyclone map, earthquake map, flood map, and all those things. Using this data, we can have decision support system for disaster. And using this geospatial data, we can assess and mitigate the hazard. So that's the easiest way to talk about it. If we have to go deep into it, we can talk about even landslide map also, for the whole day. Anyhow, so I have around 10 minutes only, so I'll go quick. So in the agriculture and horticultural field, identification of suitable site for any particular crop that has been done in our office, and it can be done for any particular crop using many criteria like considering soil type, the slope, elevation, rainfall, climate, and all those things. We can put any criteria in it, and so we can extract the suitable site for any kind of crop. So that is very useful for planning. And the WRC potential zone can also be mapped, and it's being carried out. And when farmers yielded crops in Mizoram, we have a lot of problem. Like even the current government, they are trying to, buy the yielded crops. So using geospatial technique, we can have optimal transportation route based on demand and distribution channel and demand driven. So those things can be done. And then we can map soil erosion potential zone and all those things. So we can mitigate the soil erosion as well. And crop disaster map can also be prepared using geospatial techniques like dieback and all those things. And next, we come to healthcare. If we have mapped out health facilities, including doctors, private clinics, and all those things, the details is according to us, we can have a very good healthcare support system using geospatial techniques for emergencies and also for clinical activities as well. And if we have population-based health map that can be prepared like malaria map or COVID-19 map or whatever, we can identify the dispersal of the diseases and know where to take the initiative, and we can line up the priority area. And during COVID, disease outbreak response was taken up using geospatial technique a lot, especially during COVID. Even in our office, we prepared some maps and all those things. And regarding equity measures, equity initiatives, if we have geographic distribution of our healthcare personnel and merge them with population data, with considering the transportation route and all those things, visible route, we can approach the healthcare equity initiative as well. And then we can have this health monitoring as well using this geospatial technique. So next, we come to infrastructure. Infrastructure development. This is a very important part, especially considering the central government. If we think about PM Gati Shakti, if we have good enough geospatial database, we can achieve very good planning for building site locations and all those things. Considering and also when we cut roads, we can consider shortest road elevation and all those things using geospatial technique. We can also map out suitable site for bridge construction, whether it's going to be very tall or long or wide. We can map that out cost effectively using geospatial technique. And we can visualize geographical distribution of infrastructure, existing infrastructure. If we have that, we can have an easier approach to planning for new infrastructure. While planning a new infrastructure, we always have to consider about the environmental impact. This is one of the main objectives of PM Gati Shakti. We always have to consider about the environmental impact. So even in PM Gati Shakti, the central government is forcing us to use this portal. Whenever we cut a road, we have to overlay with forest, reserve area, and all those things, all the important layers. Whether it is cutting through those important areas or not. So if we can avoid that using geospatial data, it's much easier. So that can be carried out easily. So next, we'll go to power and electricity. We came about all the grid lines using geospatial technique. We can also know the submergence area of the, if we plan the hydropower plant, that have been carried out a lot for Mizoram power electricity department as well from our office. We can calculate the water volume, estimated power generation, and all those things. In solar energy plant, it's today's topic, so I don't have to go deep about it. And horizontal irradiance and all those things. Those are all carried out using geospatial technique. And we can plan optimal electrification to a new place as well using geospatial technique. Next, we come to environment and forest. If we have a good forest protected layers, like I mentioned in PM Gati Shakti, so those protected areas can be protected better if we have geospatial technique. And if we have mentioned regarding the deforestation assessment, suppose if we have previous forest fire map and all those things, so those can be carried out, and that can be the big factor as well. And when we cut road, like we have mentioned, that can be affected by the cutting road. Deforestation can be affected by cutting roads as well. It's a big factor, so we can make assessment using this geospatial technique. We can do tracking and growth assessment of plants and animals as well. So next, since I have a short time, so I'll just go brief on this. Next, urban planning. We cannot do urban planning without, we cannot do urban planning without geospatial technique actually nowadays. So it's very difficult to carry out urban planning without geospatial technique. And transport network mapping, we can calculate the shortest route and all those things. So these are all easily be done in geospatial technique. And coming to land revenue, land records, cadastral mapping, all this being carried out in geospatial data. Mapping tourism spot, finding out optimal route to the tourist site, this can all be done easily. And mapping out the sports complex, the expansion plan, optimal route to the sport complex, site identification, etc. All this can be done in geospatial technique. We can create crime map as well regarding enforcement. Crime map using geospatial data, location-based crime assessment and crime risk surveillance. This can all be carried out. And can be, we can have this community engagement area where we have very good NGO to support enforcement team. So we can create those maps as well. So using this geospatial technique. So that would be very useful. Warehousing, location, commercial and industrial zone mapping, this can also be carried out. Logistic and inventory management, these are all, like a very important role in geospatial technique. Administrative maps, regarding LFD, all administrative maps nowadays have been prepared in geospatial data. Regarding PHE, water pipelines, sewerage lines, I think these are mandatory. This should be mandatory actually, but currently we have very few data regarding the water pipelines and all those things. So, for conclusion, for planning, we are obligated to use geospatial data. I think that sums up. Planning without geospatial data nowadays is very difficult and it's kind of dangerous actually. So we have to use geospatial data for planning, for taking up developmental work. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Malcolm Kumar, for providing this important message. Now I invite my colleagues, Akansa Saklani, to provide an introduction of the EAE platform. Akansa is EAE lead in WRI India and is leading the development of the Energy Access Explorer platform in India. Over to you.
Thank you, Nenya. Thank you, sir, for talking about geospatial data and importance, because whatever we do, we are actually on Earth and our location is captured by geospatial data. So we don't even realize, sometimes we take Google Maps to go from here to office. A lot of you would have used Google Maps to come to taxation department. We can say that it helps you identify where to go. But you can also say it also helps you to reach to your location safely. And it becomes very important. So sir, thank you for relaying that message. I'm very excited to introduce Energy Access Explorer to all of you. This could not have been possible with the support of all the stakeholders in Mizoram, especially planning department, advisors, GIS department. You guided us to improve the platform and tell us that how it can be useful and how can we actually build for the state. Can you go to the next slide? Oh, sorry, please. Yeah. So, like Deepak mentioned, energy is very important. So, having reliable, affordable, and sustainable energy actually helps in development and equitable development of the people in the state. So, our country has committed to sustainable development goals, and around 74% of the sustainable development goals are linked with electricity. So, power in schools. We want to talk about district classes, our new education policy is coming, having healthcare infrastructure where we are doing testing, we are able to give vaccines. Everything needs electricity, storage. So electricity is very important for our day-to-day lives as well. Why integrated energy planning? When we talk about energy planning, we talk about integrated so that we should actually be able to match the growing demand to the supply. Because if the demand and supply are not matching, the solutions will not be viable to the consumers as well as to the utilities which are producing it. As well as it's also important to ensure that we are talking about demand from every sector. It's not like that we're looking at the demand for one sector only. And it's also important to see that can we have a decentralized cost-effective solution in the energy mix which is suitable for the situation of the state. And these solutions are generally geospatial in nature because like sir mentioned, your amount of sunlight which is coming, your nodes, so all this is geospatial in nature. Second is inclusive. Why inclusive? Because it's important to understand the demand from each and every sector's perspective. The demand for education would be different from the demand for a healthcare facility or for planning. So it's important to understand the need from different sectors as well as at a different geographical level. The demand at the national level would be different, at the demand of Mizoram state would be different, and the demand of Aizawl city would be different. So how can we understand the needs from the bottom-up approach, assess demand at a cross-sectoral level? So it's very important to have an integrated and inclusive planning. So when we started working on EAE, we did lots of studies to understand what are the different kinds of tools, software available. And there were the three reasons we thought of developing a platform. The first reason was traditionally the energy sector has been supply side driven. It's very important to bring in supply and demand at the same space so that the solutions are viable. And it's important that we know that our demand is met by the supply, or how do we expand the supply. The second reason was we wanted to reduce the reliance on geospatial programming expertise. So like sir mentioned, the GIS data is very important. You should work on more geospatial analysis, geospatial data to do planning, support the decision. But not everybody has programming expertise or can afford expensive geospatial softwares. So can line ministries, power department, health ministries use do on-the-fly high-resolution analysis to identify the area of priorities. And the third was we wanted to have an open source system for the end user so that in resource constraint setting it's easily scalable. While we are saying open source system, the code is available open source. Data can or cannot be open access depending on the sensitivities of the data. So if a user says that no, this data it's very sensitive, it can be password protected with some roles which a user can see, not everybody can see. So data is up to the users, but code is open source. So keeping the vision in mind, we developed Energy Access Explorer, which considers the multidimensionality of energy sector to allow users to identify and prioritize the areas for intervention depending on the needs. Energy Access Explorer, it's a data-informed, integrated and equity-driven system. It talks about inclusive. So EAE allows users to identify priority areas for intervention for energy access. For example, in Nalbari, they used EAE to identify the schools which can be solarized, and these schools also act as a flood relief shelter. So can you actually include what is the school location if they don't have electricity, what is the flood situation or the flood hazard situation, what is the amount of sunlight which is coming, to prioritize the schools which can be done. So similarly, EAE also allows as a dynamic information repository. So in Nagaland, the Nagaland GIS system is using EAE to actually identify where, to have a dynamic repository, to have data from all the different sectors in single place. And EAE also allows you to track changes over the time and space. EAE can host data on census data, it can host satellite data, it can host, sorry, I'm also reading from there. Yeah, it can host global data, national data, primary survey data, and this is an example. It shows data at the raster level, which is the population density. It can host your social productive uses, which is the location of healthcare facilities, or location of schools, agriculture mandis, cold storages. It can tell you what is the potential which is available for a particular geography, like what is your wind potential, what is your solar potential. It can also give you the infrastructure which is already present. So basically bringing all the data in a single place. So EAE allows users to visualize the data from different locations. It allows users to have an integrated and inclusive planning. By integrated, because when you're talking about demand and supply at the same space, you're making it inclusive so that you are actually thinking about all the sectors and cross-sectoral approach. You can prioritize the institutions for electrification. You can also estimate the energy needs for a development service. So suppose I have to electrify, solarize healthcare facilities. Can I estimate how much kilowatt system it will be used? So EAE can support in that. So it's open, online, interactive and customizable. This is just an example how EAE was used in Jharkhand. So government of Jharkhand under GCRT scheme, their grid connected solar rooftop scheme, they're solarizing the healthcare facilities. So using EAE, first thing we identified which healthcare facilities they do have their own building. Because they are putting a solar rooftop, and what is the electricity status? If they already have full 24/7 electricity, so can we prioritize the one which do not have electricity? So using the analysis, they prioritize 300 healthcare facilities for solarization, which is done. And similarly, in Assam, the CMs have launched a climate resilient fellow scheme, and to identify where or which villages should be prioritized first for implementation of the scheme. We used EAE, we had a criteria like what is the vulnerability, flood vulnerability, landslide vulnerability, location from the distance from the institutions where the fellows will be studying. And then doing this, we actually prepared a list, and the list was then sent to SMISA to finalize the villages from there. So a little bit about backend. So what we have done is EAE is like I mentioned, is a completely open source system. We use GDAL and Python for the platform. So it has automated data processing. It allows users to have a dynamic database using Postgres database. The data can be stored in dynamic version. It has a data storage. We use AWS S3, whose bucket is in India. Then we have a customized content management system which allows users to change how they want to see the data. Do they want to have tracking? Do they want to have the data at the district level or the block level or the village level? Or do they want to have any other color to show? And it also has a variety of weights now. The users can actually use satellite data, they can use normal data, which is validated information. And it has a modular API which connects all the data from the database to the base map and the programming language. Just to start, a little bit stats about DAE. So globally, we are present in 23 geographies at national level in Sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia. And we have covered 22% of the unserved population globally. But in India, we have around 5.8 to 8% of the population covered. We started with 3 countries and it's at 23 right now. We have more than 200 partnerships at different levels. And globally, we have more than 25,000 returning users, and for India, we have more than 3,000 returning users. And before I hand over the mic to Naomi, I just wanted to say that this is not the end for us in EAE here. This is one of the milestones. We wanted to launch it publicly to have to work with the different state governments and departments and have impact. So as a short-term thing, we did our user training yesterday, which is one of the user training, and we'll keep on doing more. And we'll try to do the next one in October. And we will also be providing training materials. We'll be sharing admin rights with key administrator, including DSAT, so that they can upload the data, they can decide how do they want to keep it. And the automated data processes helps. And in long term, we have invited for a GIS working group, which actually helps us, and it's like it's EA working group which we can meet on a regular basis. It will also, the group will help us identify which direction to go, which data to use, how to improve the functionality. We'll also ensure that the benefits from different geographies are included here. So if we are, like Deepak suggested, electric vehicle, identifying the location of electric vehicles. So if this thing is happening in Kenya, can we bring in ISO if it is required? Can we do it? And we have also invited few people to be a part of EA steering committee to guide us in the right direction, so that we actually are here and we can help support the development of the city. And thank you. So just to say, we are an open source, data-driven, integrated and inclusive approach to universal access to energy for equitable development. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Akansa, for your presentation. Now I invite P. Chintanmoy Guite, Advisor cum Joint Secretary, Planning and Program Implementation Department, Government of Mizoram, to provide and deliver on the role of data-driven planning for equitable development in Mizoram. P. Chintanmoy Guite is from Mizoram Public Economic and Statistics Service. Over to you, ma'am.
Respected guest of honor, Mr. Deepak Sriram Krishnan, Deputy Director, WRI India, Akanksha Saklani and the WRI team and my colleagues, official colleagues from the government of Mizoram. I'm very happy to be here in this launching program, and I feel privileged that I have been given this time to talk about, to give a brief talk on how data is important. Data of any kind is important in our development planning process. So my talk will be basically it will be with reference to the planning processes that the state government has been implementing, and listening to my colleague from Mirsat and from Akanksha. I think this initiative, this portal is something which we truly need at this time, because the government is very committed to real planning for economic development, to bridge the poverty gap, to increase our progress, to increase the pace of our development, and towards achieving our SDG goals. And for the record, I would also like to mention that we have a SDG coordination cell in the planning department with 2 consultants, and officials of the planning department are very committed to achieving these goals by 2030, and solar energy sector is one of the most important goal which we have to achieve, so that the other sectors, the other components of what drives an economic, what drives a development, what drives a development process is a very important part of this. So data-driven planning, it plays a very important role in the development, specifically in the process of making decisions. In the absence of actual data, or in the absence of statistics or data, as data itself, the definition itself is changing every day. We can see that from the previous presentation also. So it is becoming very important in making, for the government to make its decisions, to form its policies, and to make strategies, to formulate strategies. So the empirical evidence is something which is to be chosen every time over intuition or anecdotal information. So in terms of making decisions, in terms of resource optimization, whatever scarce resources we are having, how do you prioritize what the state government needs? How do you prioritize what Mizoram needs? And juxtaposing that with the kind of resources which is available, where do you make your trade-offs? Where do you make your, what are the, how should I put it? What are the opportunity costs for doing away with this and choosing this? You know, all these cannot be scientifically understood and examined in the absence of data. So, how do you address poverty issues? How do you address healthcare issues? How do you address education, especially primary healthcare, primary education? This is a very important aspect of our thought process right now in the department, in the state government, let me say. And in terms of infrastructure, in terms of connectivity, energy supply, water supply, or like my colleague had said, in disaster response, we are very prone to climate, sudden changes in the climate, and then disaster related, how do you respond to that? So all these are linked to what data do we have, and whatever data we have, do we judiciously use it in such a way that it makes an impact? These are the issues which I would like to which I'd like to bring up today. And as agents of development, do we leverage the tools and technologies which are available with us now? For example, we are coming up with a portal which is going to be launched shortly. How do we optimize this? How do we take advantage of this very, very important portal? Because this is going to be a very important part of our planning process. Planning, in a sense, not that traditional planning commission type of a planning. I mean, planning, what do we need, and what are the resources available with us? What is the data available with us, especially the spatial data available with us? So these are something which I also like to bring up. And now with the barrage of information and data, there is a new data revolution within the space of the last 5 years. There has been an explosion of data. I mean, there is a pervasive, what do you call it, in our private lives, our mobile use, the Internet of Things, or all these. There are so many terms coming up, something which in our day-to-day life we come across, but we have not realized the implication of all these in in my personal life itself, as a collective, as a society, as a state government. So all these issues, I feel, is very important. Now, talking about SDGs, our main goal as development goal for the state is SDGs. Every development aspect is encompassed in that goal. So, in the experience for Mizoram, our experience has been that out of the 17 goals, there are 169 targets and a number of indicators. For example, you have urban indicators, you have village level village level indicators and a district level indicator. So in the latest ranking which has been brought out by the Niti Aayog, Mizoram ranks 13 to 23-24 ranking. Mizoram ranks 13 in the all over India, and in the Northeast region index which has been brought out by the Ministry of Donor, Mizoram ranks 3rd in the region. But what we have found out is that we have our state level indicator, district level indicator framework, but there is an absence of a granular level data at the village level. For example, now the Ministry of Panchayati Raj is also talking about Gram Panchayat Development Plan, GPDP. So if we really want to work out the GPDP concept, the GPDP development strategy, we have to have a village level data in some form, in a statistical form or in a GIS format. It has to be there. Unless we have that granular data, it is very difficult to actually assess the ground level data, because in the GPDP principle is that the village level, the Gram Panchayat level themselves will work out their aspirations, what the village needs, and on a larger picture what the block level needs, and on a greater scale what the district needs. So unless there is granular data, this exercise cannot be successfully completed. So what at the planning department, the current discussion is that we have to find some way to get this granular data, because concerned, for example, in a village there is a primary health center or a primary school. Now the data collection format for the state is such that it is clubbed together at the district level. So there are various attributes to that data which needs to be clearly delineated to see the actual picture. So this is one issue which we are going to, as planning department we want to address. And then I feel I am proud to say that Mizoram, the SDG coordination cell, has been instrumental in exercising a localization of SDG among the Northeast. I think we are the first state to, implement a localization of SDG. So there were certain interventions, certain studies, village level studies. We sponsored college, higher education institutions, basically colleges. We made some teams, and these teams select a village as a pilot study, select a village, go to the village, live in the village for 1 week, find out what is the problem what are the kind of problems, what are the kind of development issues that village face, then come up with a solution, how to address that. So, and based on these kind of studies and the kind of reports which they have been submitting, we have, to make it interesting, we made it in a competition and we gave some small awards to these teams. What we have found out is that these local level studies are very effective in identifying where our indicators are performing very low, or where villages are underserved, or where development initiatives are not reaching to them. So these are the kind of exercises which we have been doing, and we are trying to gear up to use a systematic scientific analysis of all these indicators, and then whatever data which is available to us to enable policymakers to make efficient resource allocation through our centrally sponsored schemes or through any other funding agencies. Then we are in a process of collecting a project database. Whatever has been happening in the past 5 to 10 years, we will collect in a database, and we will make an assessment of the fund flow, and analyze the fund flow across sectors, across schemes, across districts, so that the underserved districts or localities can be highlighted, and then policymakers may be able to properly address those issues. And then we are also developing a portal, a project monitoring portal, where we will use prioritization metrics there will be several components which decides which will decide on how effective a policy has been, or how, for example, if there is a project for let's say a power project, or let's say a water supply project. So in the vicinity, in the area, what all activities are already has been taken, and what are the learnings from those activities. So this prioritization matrix and then the portal itself is at very advanced stage of completion. We are hopeful that it will go live by October end, and I'm sure that this portal, EAE, and everything, whatever resources, whatever data we have at this stage, we can work together with the WRI team also. And then, yeah, so I think I am overshooting my time. So I'm very glad that this initiative has come here, and especially our advisor to the CM has been very instrumental in, formalizing this association. And then I congratulate the whole team, and we look forward to working closely with them. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your thoughts and insight. Now it is my pleasure to invite Dr. K.C. Somzawa, advisor to CM Government of Mizoram, to come forward and do the honor of launching the Energy Access Explorer platforms for the state of Mizoram. He is also a faculty, Department of Geography and Resource Management, Mizoram University. Sir, I request you to please come forward and do the honor, and followed by keynote address.
Electricity lights our homes, schools, health facilities, offices, and even industries. Affordable, reliable, and sustainable electricity is crucial for the delivery of essential services and socio-economic development. India has shown remarkable progress in electricity access over the last few decades. But there remains a need to enhance access to reliable and affordable electricity, especially in remote areas. Understanding where these energy access needs lie requires granular data and analytical tools. That's why WRI India and its partners built the Energy Access Explorer, or EAE. EAE is the first of its kind digital public good, offering an online, open source and interactive platform which uses geospatial data to map where energy is needed and possible sources of energy supply that can help close this gap. In India, EAE is available for the state of Jharkhand, Assam and Nagaland, and will now expand its reach to Mizoram. Mizoram, a rapidly growing state, will see increasing energy demands in the future. EAE can visualize unmet electricity demand and sources of electricity supply to policymakers to help prioritize areas that need electricity the most. The data hosted on the platform allows policymakers to evaluate the performance of state-specific schemes. Increasingly, Mizoram is vulnerable to climate change. A large part of the state is susceptible to landslides, earthquakes, and cyclones. Here, the EAE can support integrated energy planning to ensure the state is better equipped to adapt to these shocks.
The application of the Energy Access Explorer in Jharkhand, Assam and Nagaland has already proved that it's a very useful and reliable tool. In addition to identifying gaps in energy access, the tool has helped support other socio-economic policy priorities of the state, especially using the multi-criteria analysis that the Energy Access Explorer tool provides. We look forward to launching Energy Access Explorer in Mizoram and supporting the state in its development efforts, supported through better energy access.
Visit www.energyaccessexplorer.org for more information.
Now I'm fully charged and fully inspired by the previous speakers that I think I need not to talk about data anymore because we all are actually expert here. So Mr. Deepak Shriram Krishnan, Deputy Director WRI India, Engineer Malsom Dongliana is here. Malsom is here? Okay, all right. And then Pimoy, Advisor come to Joint Secretary Planning, and Pufaka, Mirsak, and then Miss Akansha, and then all other officials and dignitaries. I would like to extend my heartiest greetings and felicitations to all who gather here this morning. It is my honor to be part of this group because I know you are scientists who have a lot of experts and experiences in these energy platforms. So this today's program is the positive outcomes of the multiple consultative meetings of team WRI and state government officials. So I really appreciate the determinations and negotiating skills of team WRI, and you have made it today. The credit goes to you. You understand that we are a little bit, careful in, engaging officially, because I share that when there are some new thing comes up, we somehow observed carefully, and then okay, there is no problem. Then we make a relationship. It's not it. So that's why this is the first time that we met. Then we have to be very careful, even as a government. So that's why. But now you go through it, and I'd like to inform the August gathering that the Honorable Chief Minister now approved our MOU in principle. Of course, this will go through law vetting and other formalities. So let's hope that will formalize soon in the future. Today is actually a proud moment, particularly for me as in charge of handholding, scheme in the state, with of course planning department, because this is one of the first steps that to achieve one of our objectives in our handholding scheme, which is data-driven decision making. So today, through this joint venture, that we are going to have spatial data, not only mathematical and statistical data. So we are having geospatial data, which is more powerful and more effective, especially in this today's world. So I think being a geography teacher, I have a little bit of knowledge and ideas about this, the importance of geospatial data. And particularly, we are living in a global village, and locational science is very, very much important. Without locational science and understanding, I think it is very dangerous to make any decisions. So this GIS is a powerful technology that enable government agencies and business houses to map, analyze, and understand spatial data. So by combining locational based informations with data analysis capabilities, so this tool, these technologies provide several benefits for us to make right decisions at the right times and at the right place. So I personally love data. I have one weakness in managing my stuff. That is when it comes to data. I cannot help myself to rely on my stuff. I'd like to touch by myself, So that's why let me take this opportunity to express my gratitude to Mirsak Science and Technology, that many a times I ask, please can you give me this information, this data, because I love it. Whenever I'm going to make any decisions, particularly developmental aspect and handholding related issues. I would like to get it data first. Only then somehow I can go ahead. So that's why I still request the NIRSAC officials here and science and technology officials here, please kindly bear with me because I really love data. So I know that I make troubles sometimes. So in this regard, like I'm very happy today, like WRI is here with us. Now you are our trusted partner to fulfill our dreams, to know where is what and how to utilize it. So that is the key. That is the punchline that I'd like to share today. Where is what and how to make use of it. As government, as individuals, right? So that is because this will empower and enable us to make right decisions with spatial data on our fingertips. And even though one of my staff I sent yesterday to change here, I think that happened at ISOCAP, right? So, but still, I request the WRI team to, give me, personal training to my office. As I told you, like I love data. I would like to, handle by myself. So I can't help it myself. So anyway, looking at a larger perspective today across the world, the balanced nexus of socio-political, environment, and economic, issue is always at a center stage at any intellectual discourses. So it is a very sensitive issue and a big agenda as the global resources is shrinking day by day. So there are development issues that is politically correct, but environmentally deviated. So that's why for us, especially in politics, we really need to be very careful while we make the decisions. So we live in a world full of challenges and questions between development and environment. So dear friends, the state of Mizoram is deeply committed to blend development and environment together without harming each other. So that is our commitment as far as possible. So with the help of this joint endeavor, I do hope that we can minimize mistakes and somehow protect it, enable and probably free from irrational decision making to tackle environmental issues and climate change. So, but last not the least, I request the entire concerned departments and stakeholders to work closely and cooperate each other whenever necessary. Let's make sure that we revive our relationship. Let's make sure that we rebuild our trust partnerships in the course of time. Any relationship, even in a personal level, need to revive after some time. Otherwise, there are some loopholes. It's not it. So even in this relationship, in this joint venture, I request all the stakeholders to make a regular, interval meetings and review meetings to make it the goals happen. With these few words, thank you so much for inviting me. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for gracing us with your presence. Now, I invite my colleagues, Akansa, once again on the stage to provide a demonstrations of the Energy Access Explorer for the state of Mizoram, followed by Q&A. Over to Akansa.
Thank you, Nehemiah. I will share my screen from here because we realize that we don't have a big HDMI cord. Okay, yes, perfect. So, this is the landing page of Energy Access Explorer. Can you see, right? Sorry, full screen. I'm just showing the landing page. Yeah. So, we have a landing page for Energy Access Explorer. If a user goes to www.energyaccessexplorer, it opens up, and let me make it full screen now. And as a user goes to explore data or tool, it allows you to see the geographies which are publicly launched in Sub-Saharan Africa or South Asia. We have more geographies which which are under development or not publicly launched. In India, we have publicly launched for Mizoram. Today we are launching Assam, Jharkhand. Hubli has a specific at the district level, and Nagaland. So if you click on Mizoram, it will take you to Mizoram. Let me change the zoom level. Yes. So the data we have, the data is in demand and supply. It talks about the supply, demand. So what is the demand which is coming up for the electricity? Is the demand from schools? Do you have demand from demographics or anything from productive uses? So let's just take productive uses. You can see the demand which is coming up. Let me put the outline for the state. So we can see the demand for the productive uses, and let me click it. So at the go, users can actually see and visualize what are the different productive uses, and they can zoom into up to 500 meter in resolution to identify the facility. You can even click on a button and it will give you the information, the description of the facility. What is the category, what is the name, and this all can be customized according to the need. If you want to add more data, we can add more data. If you want to reduce the data, we can reduce the data. So I'll just come back. And the users can also change the base map to a satellite data to actually check, yes, if this location is saying I have a facility, so is the facility there or not? Or the data is correct or not? So if I can go and see, yes, this facility is there or not, or how do I check the data? So we can do that for hydropower plants, because that's very easy to do. So users can add the data, and suppose as a planner in a planning agency, I want to understand where to put cold storages. PM sir wants to have, should I not use the mic? Like what's happening? Yeah. So we want to, our Honorable Prime Minister said that we should double farmers' income, reduce food waste, and cold storages is one of the best option available which can help store the food for a long time. So can we actually see where are the mandis available? What is the road network to so you can see what is the road network, where are the mandis available, and I want to solarize those cold storage, so I can include the global horizontal irradiance. Global horizontal irradiance tells us what is the amount of sunlight which is coming from the sun to the earth, which can then be converted into solar power. So a user can actually see the data, and then using the data they can see, yes, this is my road network, this is my agriculture mandis available, and what are kind of GHI I have. So knowing all this data on the top of each other will not tell you where to go, but the multi-criteria analysis we have, it is on the fly analysis at 500 meter resolution, which allows you to analyze the data, try to identify and prioritize data, the results according to the intervention or the criteria which the user wants to set. So now I want to look for the areas which are in 2 kilometer resolution. So I can actually go and say I want to only focus on the areas which are at 2 kilometer to my distance. So the platform will then change the area. Yes. So now the platform is taking 2 kilometer resolution. Similarly, I want to focus on the areas where there is high global horizontal irradiance, because if the horizontal irradiance is high, the amount of solar energy which is being produced will be high. So I can actually filter the areas where I want to focus on. So let's say 1600. So it's 1600 kilowatt hour per meter square in 1 year is the amount of sunlight which is coming in these particular areas. I can go and change it to 1700. And this will allow me to identify the areas where I can actually think of prioritization or intervention. And the platform will also then allow me to identify the top location where there's high energy access potential. If I click on it, it will tell me. So this is the agriculture mandi is in a 5 kilometer radius. There's a high road network. It's 1 kilometer to the road network. It's in Champai district, and we can also see at analysis at the district level. So if I go back, I can see the similar. I have to zoom in a lot to get the analysis at the district level. So we can see the analysis at the district level, we can see the analysis at the village level or the block level depending on the requirement. And we can also, let me go back to the raster. And we can also take the analysis to the platform, and then we can use the data and our analysis will also come here. So I'll also give a second example. let me give. So like if you want to reduce the GHI, yeah. So I can also see the analysis that I can see the facilities are, where the facilities are locating in the platform. So right now we all want to go towards fulfill the goal. We want to have zero carbon, net zero emissions, and we also if we want to use EA to identify where to put solar under schemes like Surya Ghar Yojana, so we can also do that. To do that, let's just take one example. So if I want to understand where to put, I can start with understanding the land use land cover, how Mizoram is. So we can see which all bodies are water bodies, where there's a tree cover, there's a vegetation, crop and built up area. So to start with, I can say that yes, let's focus on, let's remove tree covers and forest bodies. Then we can add, because we are talking about PM Surya Ghar scheme, we can have global horizontal irradiance. Yeah. So we can have global horizontal irradiance. We can also add road network. And then it allows us to identify the areas. So if you see, the area has become very small. Let's zoom in a little bit. It's very small because we are only focusing on the areas where there is built up. We don't want to change forest cover. Like sir mentioned, and it is one of the things which is mentioned in PM Gati Shakti also, that we need to be very, we need to be ensure that our eco-sensitive zone is not touched upon. So how do we do that? So we get the areas. Then we know that for putting anywhere, you need to understand where is, what is the aspect or where is the slope. Is it south facing or not? So to do that, we can also add layers like what is the terrain, what is the elevation. Elevation tells you, so basically elevation is your, how high or low is there. Mizoram is a hilly terrain, so you should understand that when we are planning that yes, this comes in a high terrain or low terrain. Similarly, we have slope. So, what is the angle of the slope. So to do this, we can add aspect. So we have also given information like, what is aspect, what it will tell you. So aspect actually tells you insights on terrain and slope exposure to the sunlight. So as soon as I added aspect, I can even change that, to which angle I want to keep my location to. So to do south, I think we'll go 225. 135 to 225, right? Yeah, 180. I'm just putting two numbers, please. Okay, so our analysis will have then further filtration according to the criteria we are doing. And if you will see, the area which we have done keeps on changing according to the analysis, because it is showing you the area which can be prioritized according to the intervention, and what is the population share which is there. So population share we have calculated using the word pop data, and it's the latest data for 2024, which gives our population share on the basis of 2011 census and the building which has increased or the urbanization which is happening to increase the population density. And so this data comes in population density. So the platform can go and tell you which is the top location, you can go there and see. Yes, and this analysis also gets saved in my EAE analysis, which then users can actually go back and see. So for my EAE, I have like lots of 617 analysis. But let me go back. I'm on full screen, so you can save the analysis. Let's do one more analysis because I forgot to save the analysis in starting. Just how high is our population density can be look at it on electrifying in the other way around, solarizing for this example. So I want to focus on the population density of Mizoram, and I want to do solarization to the areas which are away from the road network. So because till now we were doing closer to the road network, we can go away from the road network also. So if I am doing away from the road network, I say let's exclude the area 2 kilometers from the buffer, and let's use a GHI to 1700, and I want to focus on the areas where there is population density high. So when I go to analysis, my analysis will tell me the areas which are 2 kilometers away from the major roads, which has high population density of more than 100 people per square kilometer, and there is high GHI value, which is your global horizontal irradiance. So then we can have the report which will also give us the numbers. Yes. So the numbers will come as a pie charts and as a summary table also, which will tell us that, what is the area share. And we can also export the presentation of the analysis, which will tell us that what was the data which was taken, what is the area started, and the download has started. Let me try to open the download. Yes. So the presentation then comes, and then you can see the presentation, and you will have the summary. What is about EAE, what is how it works, the data which we selected, like we selected demand data on population density, what was the range we had given, and what is the supply index, and about Mizoram, what are the statistics about Mizoram in each area, and the different kind of analysis we did, which can then be plugged. And the data, the analysis from this for GIS can also be downloaded and use it in a geospatial format. Apart from that, we can also change the importance. Right now, we have given the importance as 5 for GHI. But I want to say, no, I also want to see wind speed. If there's a good wind speed in Mizoram, so I can also add wind data. We can add, currently we have wind data at 100 meter resolution. We can also have wind data for more. And the platform, then users can also see that, yes, there's a metadata, why you are adding a particular data, what is the description of a data, and why this data set is used for, and if there is a caution which we should take for a data set, and if the data is downloadable, we've given the link for the data set to be downloaded. So this is the wind speed data, and now we can actually go and say, no, for solar I'm giving importance at 5, but for wind I want to give importance at 4. And my analysis will then change according to the data which I'm adding. So you can see that that's change in analysis, the area has changed from the analysis. So the platform can allow users to take the criteria according to their definition or what do want to they achieve, according to the use they have, and then on the fly it will do the changes and calculate the multi-criteria analysis. So we have 4 kind of multi-criteria analysis. We have, let me zoom in. Yes. So we have energy access potential, which is a combination of demand and supply index. The demand index talks about what is the demand which is coming up from an area. The demand can be the demand of population to solarize, the demand of healthcare facilities, the demand of education facility, or for EV charging station, what is the demand coming up. Then we have supply index. So what is the supply which is available to fulfill that demand? So do we have high supply, do we have low supply? And energy access potential is a combination of demand and supply index. And we have assistance need index. So assistance need index is some of the areas are got in the bottom 30% of the pyramid where they need more support to come up. So using the different criteria, users can actually add, see that which kind of assistance is required, how do you do it. So we can visualize data from different sources, we can analyze data, and EAE also allows users to track data over time and space. So we have an option of timeline where users can track data, like we have data from infrastructure, like what are the drinking water household connection. Let's take birth rate data. Yes, sorry, I was in the analysis mode. We can have birth rate data, which users can track over the years, that how a particular data indicator has been moving year on year. And users can also actually see the trend line. So if I go to Aizwal, I can see the trend line, how a particular data has been changing over the years. And if what is the value? Is the value above the state average or below the state average? And users, we can also add more than one particular data set to track the, so let's have birth rate and sex ratio together. So users can then again click on geographies and see how the data is changing for 2 particular data. Are the data set moving in tandem, or the data set are going away from each other? So we can track the data at district level. We are also working to track the same data at the line or the point level. So to give an example of line, Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana is building roads every year. So can we track that how many road was constructed, like as a baseline in 2020, how many roads were there? In 2021, is there an increase in roads? In 2022, how the roads have increased? Similarly, if Zeta is solarizing buildings, can we see how many buildings were solarized at the building level in 2020 and 2021? So you can track over time how the state is making progress. And it also allows us to actually see that if there is a corrective measure which is required to achieve the targets we want. And how can this help in achieving the SDG targets which we need to achieve? Shall we ask some questions? I think I'll stop here. I have said a lot, but maybe we open it for the questions. Please ask questions. That means nobody was paying attention. Yes, it's working.
I have one particular question. It's from the very nice portal. I can see that the GHI data is also incorporated there, and along with this wind speed data. So what is the resolution there for the whole state?
So for now, we have at 500 meter resolution.
500.
Yes.
Is that too coarse a resolution for this?
We can make it a 250 resolution if the state demands. See, this is just a starting.
Okay.
So, like Nagaland, we have a 100 meter resolution, which the GIS department is having, but not for public. So, GHI publicly is available at 250 resolution from World Solar Atlas. So, we can definitely change it to 250 meter resolution. So, this platform here is the start. Now, we want to work together with everyone to tell us that how it will be useful, how can we improve on the platform, what is the useful data, at what resolution. Yes, that's the idea.
Then how do we increase the resolution? Downloading the fresh data from another source or resampling the data?
So we will resample the data. So in case of global horizontal irradiance, the publicly available data from World Solar Atlas is at 250 meter resolution. So we can definitely do that. But if we have to go from 250 to 100 meter resolution, we'll have to do resampling, interpolation, so that it makes sense for the data to be correct.
Okay. Resolutions higher than 250 or 100 meters is not available, except for resampling process.
Sir, do you want to add something on that?
Because now for planning purposes and taking initiatives important as this, a higher resolution is required, particularly for the local level and district level also. For a whole state, it is quite okay, but if you want to go deeper, higher resolution is definitely required. So that's the reason why I asked about the data.
Give it to sir. Like we can work with MISAC to improve the resolution. That's why I'm asking sir.
Okay. Regarding the data here in the portal, right now it's just for launching it. So if we want to improve the data, we have to work together and to create a better resolution data. It's like that.
Yeah, having some question. The difficulties we have here in Mizoram is especially when something like when a delivery guy said, "Sir, it's just 5 kilometers away from your home," but it is a hilly terrain. So because of that, like 5 kilometers from when we measure it to the plain area and the hilly area, and like 5 minutes walk from your home, it's totally different. The demographics and the geographical is totally different. The roads, everything. So is that reflecting on the data, or like especially when you say 2 kilometers away from the road, but sometimes the 2 kilometers away from the road is not exactly how it is.
I'll add one data set. That's okay. So, like you said, and we mentioned there's a data called digital elevation model, which tells you what is the height or how is the terrain. So you can see the data. This is the elevation which is there for the state, and the darker the color, the higher is the elevation. So this data set this spatial data set is used to actually identify what is the height. So if I click here, so sorry, the lighter the color, the higher the thing. So it will tell you how height it is. Like this point is at 293 meters. You can then you can see that how height is there. So if you see the difference from one point, which is at 506, and then at 610, you can see the difference, and then you can add the road network to it. So while planning, you can actually include the terrain height of the buildings, height of the thing, and you can also add building.
My question is also that if there is a height, especially when we are about to launch a solar or energy, like the shade, like the mountains, the hilly area, they're having a lot of impact. In just 500 meters from my home, there will be no center. That's the practical scenario of Mizoram. So the data, it's really impressive, but my concern is that on the practicality, like if we are to solarize, say, the whole of Luzon, but there will be some area within even in one locality next to the house, like there will be lots of challenges. So are those data going to be incorporated in the future, or like because if we are just rely on the an other source of data, because like now also if you're coming to from outside the states, and ISO truck is only few kilometers away, but how much time do you need to reach it?
It took us time.
Yeah, too much time. The practicality of the data have to be reflected on the local level. Otherwise, on numbers, it will be really good, but on the practical side, even the state government, or even the government side, we wouldn't have much of it. Especially on the solarized sector, just if you try to from here there you can see that tree. But if you are about it's only around say 800 meters, but that won't be affected because of the shades in the hilly area. So are these terrain or geographical terrain are going to be incorporated in the future, and then how are we going to incorporate all those small details? Size.
Yeah, understand. I can answer that. So I'm working with the team and I look after the technology part at WRI India in the energy team. I understand your concern, but the best thing is that this map is for the state and we are working on state-to-state basis, because like you said, every state is different in its own style. The slope that we have seen in Mizoram is very high compared to Assam and Nagaland. So on distance, I'll say that because it's a state specific, and while we are discussing on how do we plan and all, distance will be obviously distance only, but time taken can be decided based on the discussions that we have. It might take 5 or 10 minutes. So when making planning, we can say that the 5 kilometers here will take longer time. And in planning and all, we can integrate that. And same, in Google, it shows times we have traveled a lot. The time changes accordingly. So in our discussions, we can see that whether we want to keep the locations to be 1 kilometer or should we reduce for the state. Like that we can work. On solar radiation, you have rightly mentioned that it's very difficult. I've worked on several solar power plants. While from Google Map also will say that it's clean, but the data are 6 months or 1 year old. If some building have came up or if some tree have grown up, it will be difficult. But it's same for every project that we do. So this is for planning. We'll actually get to understand. Through these maps we have understood a lot. In last 3-4 months we were able to understand a lot about Mizoram. Going forward we'll continue doing that. But on what you said, so at least we'll get that idea where solar radiations are falling more. If like Zeta sir and all want to implement something, they will at least, or let's say if you plan for some pilots, we can have at least an idea through these data, which doesn't need to go to its site and then check. We'll have an overview that here the radiations are more. But like every other project, we'll see the area, we'll see on map and all, we'll get the photographs, but on actual constructions it will change. Same it is for the solar plants. So we'll mark out the areas that there we can do, but if the roof is having shadow, because the pre-installations visits will be done. There it will be defined that if we can put on total or 50% it should be. But in a way the data will be helpful to understand where the radiations are falling more. Those areas we can focus, and depending on the site situations we'll make the decisions. But it will at least take us a step ahead. If not totally, but at least. And also we are looking into, our team is working on various things. So we did something on industries where we mapped out through Google Maps, we saw how much area it has and get an estimate and then do ground truthing and all. So in that whole process, this GIS will obviously help. I understand the difficulties, but at least we will have a +1 over there with these data.
Sorry that I have lots of questions, but yeah, I have to explain. So WRI India have possibly have any development. So how much impact will have in the local entrepreneurs or like the local like firms, are they going to have any benefits regarding that? And like suppose like a surveyor or any kind of thing, are those initiatives going to be outsourced or purely on the whole team, or like is it going to be some of the program are you going to be outsourced on the local bodies or like local organizations or such?
That's a great question, and that's really interesting, and that's why we have our local colleague here, India, who is presenting. They have joined just not even 1 month. 1 month exactly, but he's presenting here. So the whole idea is to work in state. So I am all about in Assam. I work in Assam, but I support other state teams also. Like that we are working, but we will have local presence. We've started with that. Same in Nagaland, we launched last year. We had only 1 colleague, and then it's now 3 colleagues over there. So local, in our team also, it will be local people will be working, because we understand that language, communication and all will be better, and they understand the state better, where they have lived. And for our works also, it will be very helpful. Regarding other entrepreneurs and all, the work that we are doing, or any kind of RFP or tender preparation that we are doing, we also suggest, I'm doing some project currently, I think is doing some project currently in Assam and Nagaland. We want local vendor to participate, because those things will bring a lot of changes, and we have kept a criteria that their office should be there in Rome. We understand that technologies are far advanced in other states, in Delhi, Gurgaon and all. They can participate, but they should have a local presence, because operation maintenance, keeping the plant, sustainability is a major factor, and it will only come if the people are from the state, or the people are there, at least. Same for everything else. If any work we are doing, or same in the case of tender or any kind of survey or anything that we are doing, we like to have people from here who understand the terrains and all, because that brings a lot of changes. Also, we are having this discussion that with Zeta also, we are having this discussion with us that how many local entrepreneurs are there and what more we can do on capacity building. So overall process will be focusing on local people, local capacity building, because that's how the platform also will have sustainability, because we are working, that's why we are working with a lot of departments. And going forward, like for example, I will also mention about NABARD. We are in discussion with NABARD to also have MOU kind of thing and work with them. So there they are working with local NGOs. And we have already put forward our hand that we will do the handholding for the local NGOs, build their capacity on proposal writing, how do they do the project, on monitoring and evaluations. The best part is our team, here also our WRI team has came from every place. They came from Delhi, from Assam, from Nagaland. So from everywhere the learnings will be there, and we are more than happy to build the capacity of the state.
Maybe.
I just also understood your question correctly. You are saying how can local entrepreneurs also use this platform, right? So, for example, one of the layers Akansha was showing was one that solar irradiance. But let's say you're also able to map out some of these agriculture mandis, location of specific farm clusters. So I think that is where, if let's say there is an association of the farmers and they, so there is also a provision, and the team can correct me, so there is also a provision where if you have a data set, you can give it and say that, I want this data set to be put up on this Explorer map. So let's say if I am the farmer association, I'll give that data, it will come up, and then I'll encourage all my members to say that, go ahead, see where your farm is. On that, put some layer saying where is the nearest cold storage location. And then, we'll get that map, and then the entrepreneurs can decide, okay, if I have my farm here, does it make sense to target this cold storage or that cold storage? Then even let's say if I'm an entrepreneur who is into setting up cold storage facilities, I can say, okay, between these two farms, there is no cold storage location, so it makes good business decision for me to set up the cold storage. So that's how we also envisage entrepreneurs to use it. What I would request you to note is that data can be also uploaded by users. Users can, I think, I don't know the mechanism you can elaborate, but either you give the data to the administrator, maybe in the state government, whoever is identified, they will upload this data on the back end on the behalf of the entrepreneur, and it will be available for public.
Hello, one question please. I've already asked you but for knowledge of all the invitees, let me ask the same question again. Can all the data in the portal be extracted or downloaded? Because we may need it for official purposes like DPR and estimate to be included the data in the DPR and estimate. Can it be downloaded or it's not there?
So the data in the can you open the metadata once? So in the metadata which tells you about the data, the definition of the data, why is this data important, why are we using this data, has the information from where we can download the data. Say like, I think it should work. So it will tell you that, and it will also give you the link that this is the link from where you can download the data. You can download the analysis. But having said that, some of the data set is not available for download because we also have not received it for the download. So if the data set has been provided to us for visualization or analysis, we generally ask them to connect to the relevant department, and if the department wants, they can share the data. But so like this, you can see the source. If you click on it, it will go to GeoSpatial portal and you can download the data from there. But if some of the data set there's a data from Zeta also. So there's a data from Zeta which is available, and if you want to have the data, we can ask you to that you can connect with Zeta and see that if you want to if Zeta allows you to download the data. Like for us, the Zeta has given the data to visualize it and analyze it. So like that's why I said that code is available online. You can use the code, you can build it, you can work on it, but data can or cannot be accessed, given the access, depending on how we have received the access and what data providers are seeing.
Maybe I can add to that, sir. Like we have received data from Zeta, I showed you that day as well. So that data was in the form of PDFs. Now if the department wants to use the spatial layer, we have made it from your data only. We can give that to you. You can use it offline, the spatial data, of course. Coming from Zeta, of course, we don't need the permissions to download or use it. But yes, if someone from outside, they want to use your data, they will need to contact you and get it from you. So if we get some data in hard copies or in the form of Excel tables from some specific department, yes, we can give them back this partial data for their own offline use. But if someone from outside needs it, they need to contact the concerned department.
Okay, Kansa, thank you so much for taking us through the platform. This turned out to be a great session, receiving the perspective of the speaker and listening to the challenges and inspirations of the various departments they represented. We can understand how we can be a vital tools to help in integrating the efforts of energy planning for the state of Mizoram. Finally, I call upon Pu Thankrama, Assistant Engineer Jeddah, to come forward and provide the closing remark for the session.
Respected Advisor to the Chief Minister, WRI team, and speakers, and all the officials who have come here. Good afternoon to you all. We have been sitting here for a long time. I'll make as short as possible, maybe 1 or 2 minutes only. For me, it is very difficult to be well prepared because I have to do the closing remarks of whatever you have spoken. So we have discussed so many topics, and first of all, we have discussed, the importance of energy in our day-to-day life, and the importance of access to energy and reliable and affordable clean energy. We have discussed those things. Energy has become the driver of the world economy. Without energy, you cannot do anything nowadays also, even for a short period of time. If suppose the power goes out, then we can't do anything here. So that is why energy is so important. Nowadays, per capita consumption has become an index of the development of the nation, because it tells us that how many it is calculated based on the population of the country, based on the population of the nation. So it tells us how many persons have access to the electricity. So per capita consumption has become the index of the development of the country. I think we can conclude that whatever we have spoken, whatever we have presentation has been made from that, we can conclude that reliable data is very important for every walks of life, especially for the government servant. I am from Zeda. We used to have download data from the NASA website. I just wanted to add one thing from the question they have raised regarding the GHI, Global Horizontal Radiance, Solar Radiance. There is one problem. Like, if I download the data from the NASA website, 1 degree difference will have the same data. Like in 1 degree area, there is 60 minutes. So those minutes will come under one, there will be one data in that. But the ground reality is very different. One official has pointed out that here is the solar radiation is suppose 4.5 kilowatt hour per square meter per day, but the next few meters away, the ground reality will be different. That is why this platform will be very important. This data, reliable data is very important. I am very glad to hear that we are doing a very great work in the, achieving our sustainable development goal. I am glad that we are 13th ranked all over India and 3rd in the Northeast. But there is also, I have one question on that. Whether the data received by the planning department is really reliable or not. That is still a question. That is just for an example. That is why reliable data is very important. We have seen the, from the MIRSAC, we have learned the importance of data. To have a proper planning, to have decision making in every walks of life. Data, reliable data is very important. So I will just conclude like this. I will not take much of your time. I will just conclude like this. This Energy Explorer, Access Explorer platform, I hope this will be very useful for Mizoram, and I am glad to see that in the live demonstration. There are, I think, five states in India. I am very glad that we are one of the state among the few states. And one more thing is, Government of India has set an ambitious target of setting up 500 gigawatt goal by 2030. So the Government of India effort alone is not sufficient. Participation of every state and every stakeholders is required. In order to achieve the huge target, the ambitious target by the government, what we need is data. So this Energy Explorer, I hope that this Energy Access Explorer will be very helpful for all of us, and especially for the government, for the government sectors, government departments, and I think it will be very helpful for the academicians and the entrepreneurs and industrialists, and I have noted down some of the important points, but I'll just okay. That's all for me. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Pupuanga. Now I invite everyone to please come forward on the stage for a group photo, and after that, please join us for the lunch. So now I invite everyone to please kindly come on the stage for a group photo.